Hi guys, this is Max, hopefully with another great political video. And before I go into the changes that I make to my Senate prediction, I'd like to briefly point out the fact that I made a special on the 9/11 attacks, or it's better to say the 20th anniversary of these horrible events that cost so many lives. I had some issues with the upload, and as a result of it, it ended up being published very late in the evening, but it would really mean a lot to me if you checked it out. I, I was trying to just share my own personal feelings about it and my own message with you guys, and I'd bigly appreciate if you checked it out. Yeah. Well, nonetheless, now let's get into what really matters here in this video, and that are my changes to my US Senate prediction. This is not going to be another Senate prediction, it is just going to be listing up the changes that I'll make to how I presumed these races would go down 3 weeks ago. Now, there are a few of them. However, not too many. New Hampshire, at the time, I wasn't sure whether Chris Sununu was actually going to run because he wasn't really talking all that much about it. But since I did more research into the topic as of right now, I actually believe that New Hampshire will be lean Republican. Because the only reason why Sununu hasn't announced yet, as I believe, is that he doesn't want to polarize the race through entering it early. Because if you split the vote in New Hampshire between Democrat and Republican, the Democrats would have a slight edge over the Republicans, and Sununu wants to avoid that. And he's a pretty good candidate. He's the popular governor of the state, and he'd pretty easily win if he ran. Now, other than that, there are two more changes, and I know that my own personal bias could maybe affect them. We all are biased, but in these predictions I really focus as much as possible to just deliver you a neutral opinion on how these races will go down. And I believe that Georgia will go from lean Democrat to tilt Democrat, mostly because Herschel Walker has now formally declared his candidacy. And as Ben from Ben's election forecasting pointed out in his video about the Georgia Senate election, don't underestimate the college football vote in the South. Because keep in mind, Herschel Walker is a former running back, and that probably will have at least somewhat of an effect in this race. However, because the Georgia suburbs are growing more blue and more diverse, I do think that Warnock's favored as right now. The last change is the Pennsylvania Senate election. And I know that is actually, it was probably inevitable because Joe Biden's approval rating is dropping, and if the midterms elections were held right now, I actually believe the Republicans will win it. Now, that absolutely doesn't mean that this is a safe thing for the GOP. It just means that Pennsylvania, which really is a pure toss-up in my opinion, as it was for the past few election cycles, is right now slightly more favored towards the Republicans. That has something to do with Joe Biden's very, very low approval rating at this point. I don't expect it to stay that low forever. I do think he will recover, and I also think that this will absolutely not be the last call that we make on the Pennsylvania Senate election. But as of right now, the Republicans are slightly favored, even with their lesser-known candidates, compared to the ones that the Democrats run. And in Arizona and Nevada, I actually don't see a change in their rating. Arizona has Mark Kelly as the incumbent, and he's doing what he needs to do in order to stay in office. He's not jumping too much on the partisan train, and he's having a quite moderate voting record so far. And that will help in Arizona, which is actually a pure purple state. In Nevada, I expect something similar to happen. Not too much will change because it doesn't really have all that many swing voters. There's a pretty big clear Democratic bloc, there's a pretty big clear Republican bloc, but the Democrats always seem to slightly outweigh the Republican, even though the Republican candidate is not a complete no-name. He's the former state treasurer and gubernatorial candidate in 2018. Okay, now, I believe that's actually it with this video. And if you want to see some clearer explanation on why Illinois and Colorado are considered likely, please consider checking out my first video on a Senate prediction. That would probably help you a lot. And other than that, I really appreciate that you took yourself the time in order to watch this. And I'm very excited towards seeing you the next time. As always, if you liked the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, feel free to comment in the comment section down below. I'm happily looking forward to see you guys. Goodbye.